I got scratched. Hi everyone, Scratch the Scratch Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. It's hot, it's sweaty out, it's muggy, it's humid. Stop. I just want fall to be here. And it's time for a review of the new ASAP Ferg project, Still Striving. ASAP Ferg is a New York rapper, a part of the ASAP mob. He dropped a flawed but very underappreciated album in 2013, Trap Lord. The album's sound took cloud rap down a very dark and moody path. It had this pristine sheen and atmosphere surrounding it that was just like really beautiful. It was chilling, and it matched very well with the grit and the aggression of the instrumentals in Ferg's voice and lyrics. And again, Ferg's voice, his delivery, very deep, almost kind of goofy in a way, but not so goofy it took away from his lyrics, just enough to make him sound pretty unique and eccentric and kind of off the wall, unhinged, especially as he would pull out like this really weird singing voice. Hell, let me sing my song. Like, there were a lot of really cool, unique quirks about this project that had me excited for what Ferg was going to be doing in the future. Then, down the road, he would drop his Always Strive and Prosper album, which, in my opinion, was an utterly awful project, one of the worst attempts this decade of a rapper trying to sound as commercial as possible. And with an album so bad, how could ASAP Ferg bounce back? In one breath, it seems almost like a feat, but in another, I mean, he's really kind of made it easy for himself. I think he'd really have to be trying to make a terrible album on purpose to make a worse record. So a while back, he announced this new mixtape over here. He dropped a lot of singles in preparation for it, most of which I just thought were okay. I was hoping that they would all come together and just be greater than the sum of their parts as a whole project here. Now, of course, I'm not reviewing this project by myself. I've brought on fellow YouTube music critic and reviewer Shawn Cee, who has some very solid reviews and reactions on his channel, which is linked in the description box. Check it out. And we are essentially going to talk it out on this album, hash it out on this album. Here we go.
Position. And here we are through the magic of the internet with Mr. Shawn Cee, and we're going to be talking about this new ASAP Ferg mixtape. Shawn, what did you generally think of this project? Was it better than the last album? Was it good overall? What did you think?
So kind of coming into this one, I was expecting more of the whole Trap Lord thing. Ferg kind of rules over that domain and giving, music that's really trap based and that has beats that are kind of, represent this urgency or this form of grittiness, in my opinion. So that's kind of what I know him for, what I want him for. On the last album, I think it was the Always Strive and Prosper, maybe. I think that's what it was called.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that was representing him as well as he kind of wanted it to. I feel like it was trying to be too, mainstream, to appeal to too many demographics. But with this one, I thought it was good. I didn't think it was, crazy. It was elements from Trap Lord and from his most recent album or project in this one. Some things that I like, something that some that I didn't really care for, some that I did. But for the most part, I think it was a decent project. I wouldn't say that I don't see more people getting more than like 5, maybe 6 tracks out of this that they're going to enjoy and keep coming back to.
In comparison with Always Strive, it's definitely grittier. It's definitely a bit of a return to form. It's nowhere near as disappointing as his last album was. Seems like he's playing to his strengths a little bit more. The production is more atmospheric again. The lyrics and the beats are, harder and more aggressive again. Doesn't seem like he's trying to sell you on, too many sweet, very commercial, very radio-friendly hooks or anything like that. But I think the project ends up getting weighed down in just the fact that there are so many freaking features on this thing.
Yes.
Like, so many of which I don't think really kind of play to Ferg's strengths.
Not at
Like,
all.
as much as I do like a little Yachty feature here and there, I'm not really sure if Ferg and Yachty are the best combination. I'm not really sure if Ferg and Nav are the best combination. Playboy Cardi's feature, while I do like some of his features and I like a song here and there and I understand sort of the connection from the ASAP mob there, his verse there was so throwaway on Madman. It was such a forgettable moment, and the song just kind of fizzled out directly afterwards as soon as like he sort of dropped out of his verse. Which is really unfortunate because there were actually some great features on this thing. I mean, the Mattress remix is fucking insane.
Yeah, that's great. I love that one.
That song is so insane. It's so off the wall.
The thing about that track, though, that's really funny is there's a bit of a Chanel versus Great Value or Walmart thing going on because Ferg and Rocky are like the Chanel. They're going back and forth. They're giving each other really great, setups. And then we get to Dex and Rich the Kid, I think. And then it's just like, you're kind of the Great Value version of what I just listened to. But the whole song, as in itself, still works. I still like it a lot. And I didn't think I would.
No,
with this many features on it.
The other Posse cut, the East Coast remix, was really good too. Snoop Dogg brought it up really well in the back, I thought.
It was good. You move past that one for now because I got like a really bad rant for that one.
Well, I really liked those cuts. I was really happy to see Cameron on here, because he's sort of like a New York throwback that I feel like a lot of millennials don't really know about or appreciate these days, the whole Dipset thing. And he sounded really good on Rubber Band Man. Which had a hook and a beat that was insane. Like, I went absolutely nuts when I heard that beat. Like, that was honestly, between that track and Trappin' a Dream, I thought that, like, this is it. He's like actually going to really deliver here. I know that there are some songs coming up later that suck, but I'm gonna convince myself before this thing is even over that this is gonna be one of his better projects.
Yeah, that's what I would like to do. Yeah. And then there's this middle part, that you kind of have to get over until you get to something great again. And
you really do.
It, like I said, it's cool. I think Ferg, like I said, he's really, I agree with you. He's playing to his strengths more on this project, definitely more than he was on the previous, but he just comes across as like really formulaic. And even with the way he uses his features, it's like, that Lil Yachty, that Playboi Carti, that Made in Tokyo are not, rappers who are known for lyrics or rappers who need their own verse on a song. So for me, it's like you're not giving them tools to kind of be desirable on these tracks. You're just kind of making them be formulaic along with you when you could easily have Carti on like a hook.
You're just throwing them on there for the feature, throwing them on there for the attention, and pretty much that's
it. And even the ones that are strong on here, like the Dave East one, and like I said, I like the Cameron verse, but it's not that much that sticks with me. I think Cameron is a little bit more debatable because more people, are going to be invested in that. I don't know as much about Cameron, so I might not have as strong of a connection to him as others may, but like the Dave East one, it's cool, but then I'm like, am I going to listen to this again? Not really. There are other tracks on there that kind of fall into that same formula, and then the Nav one is just like, I was driving when I heard that track, and I came to a red light, and then Nav's part, comes on, and I just got like really depressed, like out of nowhere. Like he started rapping, and I'm like, okay. This isn't that bad, because it's more of an upbeat. It's kind of different from the rest of the album. The vibe is a little bit more chipper, I guess you could say.
It's a bit smoother and trying to be somewhat sexier, but
a little bit more. So I'm like, all right, this isn't horrible. Yeah. And then I'm listening to it, and then Nav comes in, and I'm just like, I stopped the car at the red light immediately, and I literally asked myself this. I was like, what am I doing with my life? Because he gave me like the most basic, boring vocal pattern, everything in his voice is just so blah.
That's just him all the time.
On this one, it's just like,
opinion.
This track is just like, it's made for you to give some sexy energy, if you want to call it that. And it's just like, where is it at? And
to me, that's not
now.
like usually an angle Ferg plays too well, unless he's kind of getting like sort of silly or ridiculous with it.
Even Nav though, I just would something. It just didn't give me anything that I thought I was.
To me, he sounded like a baby robot on that track.
Well, you're right in the sense that he sounds like that on most tracks, but on this one, me knowing that Nav has that like super repetitive thing going on, it had me stopping in my tracks. Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I kind of need to question some things so I don't end up like this guy. So it made me like, after I got done diagnosing myself with clinical depression, I moved on with the track and was like, okay, he gives me more of the struggle bars, like the overuse. Oh, I mowed the grass and the snakes are left. So it's just, I just can't get with it. Not on that track.
No, I agree. And, like you were saying about the Dave East track, I mean, me personally, I'm not huge on Dave East as far as like listening to his solo stuff. And he didn't really grab me on these two features that he had on here either. To sort of go past the Nav track, his feature was obviously lackluster, but in my opinion, that was the worst track on the project. And not just because of him. I mean, I think Ferg brought some of his most tasteless and most ridiculous lyrics on the entire project on that one song. Like you said, Famous Dex, it seemed like he was just kind of here to fill in a blank, fill in a spot, just kind of grab attention for people to just be like, oh, okay, Dex is on this. I'm a Dex fan, so I'm going to check it out. And again, all the features kind of weighing this down. It's such a shame because, in my opinion, the song that had no features in the middle of the whole thing, Plain Jane, was one of my favorites. Like, he dropped that line in the track where he said he would fuck someone's bitch ironically, and I don't know. I was just laughing. I was just laughing my ass off at that line, and I thought the hook was super smooth and catchy too. Hum to Allah, like.
Okay, yeah, okay. So that was the 3 6 Mafia reference track. Yeah. I was like, because that's the one that had me. I was like, am I enjoying this more because of the reference, or am I enjoying it because Ferg is really giving me a lot? And I think he did good with that track as well. I'm not gonna. Yeah. He's like I said, him like making music by himself. I think I'm surprised that, like I said, he was able to carry a good amount of these tracks, by himself. Like even the Tango song on here was. I liked his, relationship that he kind of depicts his relationship with Yam's mom, and says by laying in his bed he somehow can get visions from what Yams would normally do. So
that was a really good personal moment on the record, and I thought that the production sort of fit the tone of the track too really well.
Definitely.
And like you said, he does carry a lot of the record, even though there are a lot of features on this thing, because there aren't a lot of moments on here that I could think of where he's really super outshined. Obviously on the East Coast remix, obviously a little bit on the Mattress remix because there's so many people there, but he does so well on the hook that it's like he kind of brings you back and kind of demands attention throughout the entire track. But yeah, I just wish that he had given us another verse on a lot of these tracks rather than just trying to pad this album out with a bunch of hype features in order to get people to listen to it. And I don't know, just in the end, come out with a more solid project, because at the end of the day, a lot of these songs really are not as good as they could be, just because I don't feel like everybody's giving their all, or everybody appearing on this album really kind of fits or complements his style. And like you said earlier, there is an element of him being kind of formulaic here, not only in the sense that the way he plugs guests into songs over and over and over, it's pretty much the same. It's the same setup, it's the same structure, it's the same formula. But also on top of that, as much as I do appreciate that he's playing to his strengths once again on this project, I feel like instead of kind of progressing past what he did on Trap Lord, he's kind of just gone back to what's familiar and what's easy for him because of how Always Strive and Prosper kind of blew up in his face a little bit. So now he's just kind of like stepping back and just kind of getting back on what kind of works, what's obvious, what he knows his fans like him for. But at the speed that rap is moving right now, it's almost like the sound that he's delivering here at some points is like a couple years behind the curve,
Yeah, like I could definitely see that. And I think, like I said, there's just not enough nutritional value to this album or to this project to get people to, keep coming back to it. Like most of the time there's an album or a project, you're like, okay, well, I go to this thing for this reason, but there aren't more reasons to listen to it than there are not good reasons to listen to it. In my opinion, that's like, when I'm listening to this, it's like a really easily consumed project. You can take a few parts out of it and you shit the rest of it out pretty much. And that was pretty much my biggest problem with the East Coast remix. Now, for this one, it's like, okay, beat's great. Come in. Ferg is giving great delivery, great energy. Busta Rhymes, perfect opener. After him, we get Ferg again, switching up cadence and flows and giving lyrics and dropping bombs. I'm like, all right, this is great. Then we get A$AP Rocky. It's not the greatest Rocky verse, but it's good. It's doable. I don't really like the part where he complains about people complaining about him having clear skin. And there's another part. I like the bar in there before that, though, where he talks
that was
about,
a weird line to me. That almost read like he was talking about other women being jealous of his clear skin. The way that he phrased it, in my opinion, the way that I read it when I heard it.
So yeah, like that, it was a little strange. It like kind of threw me for a loop for a second, but I got back into it because his flow is really nice.
Yeah,
he rolls into Dave East really well. And so at this point in the song, I'm like, all right, this is great. If I had to be in heaven right now, this would be trap heaven. And obviously Ferg being, the trap lord, the trap god, trap lord, whatever you want to call him. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, this is great. Instead of me running through a field of, dandelions and freshly cut grass and everything like that, I'm running through a field of money and instead of trees and nature in the background, there's girls twerking on poles that endlessly go into the sky.
Freshly
And I'm like, this is great.
freshly poured lean.
Yes, exactly. Everybody's having a great time.
Coming out of fountains everywhere.
Right, and the most natural part of this thing, right, is it's the sun. The sun is in the sky. It's shining bright. But wait, here comes a solar eclipse. But no, it's not a solar eclipse. It's fucking French Montana coming to ruin the track again. And then when he does get on the track, what does he decide to do? He decides to chastise other rappers for using familiar flows when he has none himself. He has no like versatility, no delivery, nothing about him is like entertaining on this. And then from that point on the track, it just goes downhill for me because the My High is ruined. You know, he ruined it. And then Rick Ross is really slow with his delivery. It just kind of slows the rest of it down. And then Snoop Dogg, I don't know if you've seen the music video for this. Snoop Dogg's part in the music video is hilarious because he's given like a Snapchat filter angle. I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was a brilliant part of the video. But I love the song, but everybody after Dave East is getting cut out for me.
I'll agree. You know, the weak links in the chain there are easily French Montana and Rick Ross. I mean, I thought French sort of sounded aggressive, but I don't pay too much attention to his lyrics when I hear a French Montana feature, to be completely honest. However, you know, to sort of have him and have Busta on a remix, to me, again, kind of reads like Ferg going back and just repeating himself once again, because Busta was on a remix from his last album, Trap Lord, or his debut album. Yeah, I thought it was decent, but nowhere near as kind of surprising and exciting, unfortunately, as Trap Lord was, even though I wanted it to be that. For the most part, I'm feeling like a decent to strong 6 on this thing. Probably not much more, to be fair.
All right. Well, same kind of feeling. Like I said, it's decent. Nothing that much to it. I had more, issues with it, so probably throw about a 4 on it.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Shawn, for coming on and talking with me about this tape. You guys can find a link to his YouTube channel down there in the description. Not only does he have some solid reviews and reactions, but God, his thumbnail game makes me pretty jealous. I'm pretty jealous of this dude's thumbnail game. Okay, we're gonna leave it there. Anthony Fantano, Shawn Cee, A AP Ferg, still striving forever.